My dear friends, I want you to understand something tonight that will forever change how you walk through this world. You are not merely human beings having a spiritual experience. You are God individualized, walking in flesh, carrying within you the same creative power that spoke the universe into existence. Tonight, I stand before you not as a teacher speaking to students, but as consciousness addressing itself. For there is only one consciousness, one creative power, one divine being expressing itself as the many. You and I are that one being, dreaming we are separate, yet always united in the divine creative act. From the moment you drew your first breath, you began speaking reality into being. Yet most of you remain unconscious of this divine gift. You've been conditioned to believe that words are merely sounds, that thoughts are fleeting wisps with no substance. But I tell you now, this is the greatest deception ever perpetuated upon humanity. Your words are not empty vibrations disappearing into air. They are living seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness, growing into the harvest of your experience. Every syllable you utter, every thought you entertain is an act of creation. You are always creating, my friends. The question is, what are you creating? The ancient Hebrews understood this. They called it dabar, the word that creates by speaking. When they spoke of God's word, they weren't referring to mere communication, but to the active creative force that brings worlds into being. This same power flows through you every moment. Your voice is the voice of the infinite, particularized as you. Consider the very word abracadabra. It means I create as I speak. This wasn't meaningless incantation, but recognition of the fundamental truth of existence. Every word you speak is an abracadabra moment, whether you realize it or not. The only question is whether you're creating consciously or unconsciously. Most of you live imprisoned by the very words you speak. You say, I can't afford this, and wonder why abundance eludes you. You declare nothing ever works out for me, and then marvel at your string of disappointments. You proclaim, I'm not good enough, and question why success feels so distant. These are not mere statements. They are commands issued to the creative power within you. Your subconscious mind, that faithful servant, accepts every word as instruction and works tirelessly to manifest exactly what you've decreed. I have watched countless individuals destroy their lives not through external circumstances, but through the poison of their own speech. A woman comes to me saying, I always attract the wrong men. She doesn't realize she's just issued a divine decree. She's commanded her subconscious to arrange circumstances where she will always attract the wrong men, and her faithful servant obeys. A man tells me, I can never get ahead financially. He speaks this with such conviction, such certainty, that he seals his fate with his own words. His subconscious mind, receiving this as absolute truth, ensures that he never gets ahead financially. Listen carefully. You are the operant power in your world. There is no force outside of you determining your fate. Your circumstances are the perfect mirror of your inner conversations, reflecting back to you precisely what you've been affirming in the secret chambers of your mind. The tragedy is not that life is difficult. The tragedy is that most people make it so through their unconscious use of the creative word. They speak lack and wonder why they're poor. They speak sickness and wonder why they're ill. They speak loneliness and wonder why love passes them by. Now I will share with you the secret that transforms lives. Learn to speak from the end, instead of begging for what you want. Assume you already possess it. This is not positive thinking. This is the fundamental law of creation. When you say, I am wealthy, you're not lying to yourself. You're claiming your divine inheritance. When you declare, I am loved, you're not engaging in fantasy. You're recognizing the truth of your being. The words I am are the creative formula of existence itself. They are the name of God. And when you use them, you speak with divine authority. Do you remember when Moses asked God for his name? The answer came, I am that I am. This is not merely a name. It's the creative principle of existence. And every time you say, I am, you're invoking this same creative power. You're not speaking about yourself. You're speaking as yourself, as the divine being you truly are. Every time you follow I am with anything, you are literally defining your reality. I am tired creates tiredness. I am broke creates poverty. I am confused creates confusion. But I am abundant creates abundance. I am loved creates love. I am successful creates success. The power of assumption is this. You don't need to see it to believe it. You need to believe it to see it. Assumption is not hoping or wishing. It's accepting as true what your senses deny. It's walking in the faith that what you've assumed will inevitably manifest. I knew a man who assumed he was a successful author, though he'd never published a word. He spoke as an author. He felt as an author. He introduced himself to his own mind as a successful author. Within 2 years, publishers were seeking him out. His assumption had hardened into fact. Your inner conversations are sacred ceremonies of creation. The thoughts you think repeatedly, the mental arguments you have, the scenarios you replay. These are not idle mental chatter. They are prayers, and every prayer is answered. Most of you pray without ceasing, but you pray for what you don't want. You have inner conversations of lack, limitation, and fear. You imagine failure, rehearse disappointment, and wonder why these experiences manifest in your world. Let me share something profound. Your mind is a theater where you are simultaneously the playwright, director, and lead actor. Every mental conversation is a scene you're writing and performing. The tragedy is that most people write and perform dramas of defeat rather than comedies of triumph. I challenge you tonight. Begin to monitor your inner speech as carefully as you would watch over precious treasure. When you catch yourself in mental conversations that contradict your desires, stop immediately. Revise the conversation. See it ending in triumph, not defeat. Hear yourself speaking words of victory, not victimhood. Your inner speech is more powerful than your outer speech because it operates below the threshold of conscious resistance. When you speak aloud, your conscious mind might object, that's not true. But your inner conversations slip past these defenses and plant themselves directly into the subconscious soil. The mystics knew this. They practiced what they called the prayer of the heart, continuous inner speech aligned with divine truth. They understood that the kingdom of heaven is within, and it's accessed through the quality of our inner conversations. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is not merely scripture. It is the instruction manual for your divine nature. You are that Word made flesh. You are consciousness expressing itself through the creative power of speech. The word universe itself reveals this truth. Universe means one word or one song. All of creation is the single word of God, expressing itself in infinite variations. You are one note in that cosmic symphony, but you have the power to determine what note you play. Every morning when you wake, you have the opportunity to speak a new world into existence. Instead of groaning about another difficult day, try this. I am grateful for this day of infinite possibilities. Instead of complaining about your challenges, declare, I am blessed with divine solutions to every situation. The word blessing itself reveals this truth. It means to make sacred by speech. Every time you speak positively about your life, you are blessing it into greater expression. You are invoking the divine creative power to manifest more of what you're blessing. But understand this. Words without feeling are like seeds without water. They contain potential, but they won't grow. Your words must be watered by the feeling of their truth. When you say, I am wealthy, you must feel wealthy. When you declare, I am loved, you must feel loved. The feeling is the secret ingredient that transforms words from mere sounds into creative commands. Your emotional responses are not random reactions. They are trained behaviors based on the words you've been programmed to use. When something goes wrong, most of you immediately reach for words like terrible, awful, disaster. These words don't describe your experience. They create it. What if instead you reached for words like interesting, challenging, or an opportunity for growth? I'm not asking you to deny difficulty, but to respond to it from a position of power rather than victimhood. I knew a woman who transformed her life by changing one word. Instead of saying, I have to go to work, she began saying, I get to go to work. That simple shift from have to get to changed her entire relationship with her job. Within months, she received a promotion she'd been seeking for years. The word problem itself creates resistance and struggle. Try replacing it with situation or project. Notice how your entire emotional response shifts. The situation remains the same, but your relationship to it transforms completely. Here's a revolutionary practice. For 1 week, eliminate the word try from your vocabulary. Instead of I'll try to succeed, say I will succeed. Instead of I'll try to be happy, declare I am happy. The word try is an admission of expected failure. It's a hedge bet against your own success. Replace I hope with I know. Hope implies doubt. You hope because you're not certain. But when you know, you speak with divine authority. I hope things work out becomes I know things are working out perfectly. Gratitude is perhaps the most transformative word in human language. But most people practice gratitude incorrectly. They're grateful for what they have, which keeps them focused on their current limitations. True gratitude is being grateful for what you're becoming, for what's already yours, in divine mind. Instead of I'm grateful for my small apartment, try I'm grateful for my expanding living situation. Instead of I'm grateful for my job, declare I'm grateful for my flourishing career. You're not being dishonest. You're speaking from the end, from the fulfilled desire. The word thank you carries tremendous creative power. When you thank life for something before it appears, you're operating from divine consciousness. You're acknowledging that in the realm of imagination, which is the only reality, your desire is already fulfilled. I practice what I call prophetic gratitude, being grateful for things that haven't yet appeared in the physical world, but are absolutely real in divine mind. Thank you for my perfect health, I say, even if my body shows symptoms of illness. Thank you for my abundant prosperity, I declare, even if my bank account suggests otherwise. Modern science confirms what ancient wisdom has always known. Sound creates form. When you speak, you're not just moving air, you're organizing energy into patterns that will eventually manifest as your experience. Dr. Masaru Emoto's experiments with water crystals revealed that positive words create beautiful, symmetrical patterns, while negative words create chaotic, fragmented forms. Since your body is approximately 70% water, imagine the effect your words have on your cellular structure. Every word carries a frequency, and every frequency attracts like frequencies. Speak words of love, and love vibrates toward you. Speak words of abundance, and abundance responds to your call. This is not metaphor, it is the law of life itself. The ancient Egyptians understood this. They believed that speaking the name of something gave you power over it. This is why they were careful about which names they spoke and which words they used in their sacred ceremonies. Your body, being mostly water, is particularly responsive to the words you speak. When you say, I am sick, your very cells receive this as instruction. When you declare, I am healthy and strong, your body responds by aligning with this truth. You are literally commanding your own biology through your speech. But here's what's even more remarkable. Your words don't just affect you, they affect everyone and everything around you. When you speak words of peace, you create a field of peace that influences others. When you speak words of love, you become a broadcast station of love, affecting every person you encounter. Understand this. When you speak with the voice of God. There is no power greater than the power speaking through you right now. The same consciousness that spoke light into existence speaks through your voice every moment of every day. This is why Jesus said, by your words you shall be justified, and by your words you shall be condemned. Your words are not just sounds. They are decrees issued by divine consciousness. Every word is either building or destroying, blessing or cursing, creating heaven or hell in your experience. Most of you speak carelessly, unconsciously, as if words were without power. But I tell you, there is no such thing as idle words. Every word is creative. Every statement is a prayer. Every declaration is a command to the universe. The word authority comes from author. You are the author of your life story, and authors have authority over their creation. You can write any story you choose. You can create any character you wish to be. You can design any plot you desire to live. But with this authority comes responsibility. You are responsible for every word you speak, every thought you think, every story you tell yourself. You cannot blame circumstances, other people, or external conditions for your experience. You are the operant power, the creative force, the author of your reality. Love is the highest frequency, the most creative force in the universe. When you speak from love, you speak with maximum creative power. This is why Jesus emphasized love above all else. Not as a moral imperative, but as a creative principle. The word love in English comes from the Sanskrit lub, meaning to desire. True love is divine desire expressing itself. When you love something, you're desiring it into greater expression. When you speak words of love, you're creating more of what you love. But here's the secret. You must first love yourself. The quality of your self-talk determines the quality of your entire life experience. If you speak to yourself with criticism, judgment, and harshness, you're creating a reality of criticism, judgment, and harshness. Begin speaking to yourself as you would speak to your most beloved friend. Replace I'm so stupid with I'm learning and growing. Replace I always mess up with I'm becoming better every day. Replace I hate my life with "I'm grateful for this opportunity to create something beautiful." The relationship you have with yourself through your inner speech is the template for every other relationship in your life. Speak to yourself with love, and you'll attract people who speak to you with love. Speak to yourself with respect, and you'll attract people who respect you. Even your relationship with time can be transformed through conscious speech. Instead of saying, "I don't have enough time," declare, "I have all the time I need." Instead of "time is running out," affirm, "time expands to accommodate my needs." The word present has multiple meanings. It's the current moment, and it's also a gift. When you're truly present, when you're speaking from the now instead of past regrets or future anxieties, you're giving yourself the gift of creative power. Stop saying someday and start saying today. Stop saying eventually and start saying now. The only moment you have creative power is this moment. The only time you can speak a new reality into being is now. "I will be happy someday" is a decree that happiness will always be in the future. "I am happy now" is a decree that calls happiness into the present moment. Your creative word operates in the eternal now. Your words don't just create your individual reality. They contribute to the collective consciousness of humanity. Every word you speak either adds to the sum total of love, wisdom, and truth in the world, or it adds to the sum total of fear, ignorance, and limitation. When you speak words of peace, you're not just creating peace in your own life, you're adding to the peace of the world. When you speak words of abundance, you're not just creating abundance for yourself, you're contributing to the abundance consciousness of humanity. This is why it matters what you say, even in private. Your words have impact beyond your personal sphere. They ripple out through the interconnected web of consciousness, affecting people you'll never meet, situations you'll never know about. Be conscious of your contribution to the collective conversation. Are you adding to the fear or the faith? Are you contributing to the problem or the solution? Are you speaking limitation or liberation? Words have the power to heal yourself and others. When you speak words of health, vitality, and wholeness, you're invoking the healing power of consciousness. Your body responds to your words because your body is made of the same consciousness that speaks through you. Instead of describing your symptoms in vivid detail, speak of your healing. Instead of talking about what's wrong, speak of what's becoming right. Instead of identifying with illness, identify with wellness. I've seen people heal themselves through conscious speech. A woman with chronic pain began saying, "My body is healing perfectly," instead of "My pain is terrible." A man with financial troubles began declaring, "I am prospered in all my ways," instead of "I'm broke." Their words became the bridge from illness to health, from lack to abundance. But remember, healing words must be spoken with feeling. If you're affirming health while feeling sick, you're creating from sickness consciousness. Feel the truth of your words, feel the reality of your healing, feel the certainty of your wholeness. Every word you speak is like a child you send out into the world. Some of your word children are beautiful, bringing joy and blessing wherever they go. Others are destructive, causing pain and limitation. Which children are you sending out? Your words have a life of their own once you speak them. They go forth and create after their kind. Words of love create loving situations. Words of fear create fearful circumstances. Words of abundance create abundant conditions. Be as careful with your words as you would be with your actual children. Nurture them with feeling. Guide them with intention. Send them out with love. They will return to you multiplied, bringing experiences that match their nature. The metaphors you use shape your reality. If you describe your life as a struggle, you'll experience struggle. If you call your challenges mountains to climb, you'll find them difficult and exhausting. If you see your setbacks as learning opportunities, you'll extract wisdom from every experience. Choose your metaphors consciously. Instead of life being hard, let it be an adventure. Instead of work being a grind, let it be a stage for your talents. Instead of relationships being complicated, let them be opportunities for love. The metaphor of life as a dream is particularly powerful. When you realize that life is consciousness dreaming itself into experience, you understand that you can change the dream by changing your inner speech. You're not trapped in someone else's dream, you're the dreamer. Learning to say no to negative speech is as important as learning to say yes to positive speech. When someone tries to engage you in conversation about limitation, lack, or fear, you have the right to decline participation. "I don't accept that reality" is a powerful phrase. "That's not my experience" is another. You don't have to argue or convince, you simply refuse to join in conversations that contradict your divine nature. Protect your consciousness as carefully as you would protect your most precious possession. What you allow into your mind through speech, your own and others, becomes the raw material of your experience. Your true nature is the eternal yes of God, the divine affirmation that says yes to love, yes to life, yes to all good. When you align your speech with this eternal yes, you become a blessing to yourself and everyone around you. Say yes to your dreams. Say yes to your potential. Say yes to the divine possibilities that are always available to you. Your yes is the creative word that opens doors, creates opportunities, and manifests miracles. You came into this world with a sacred commission to be a creator, to speak worlds into existence, to demonstrate the power of consciousness made manifest. Every day you postpone this recognition is a day you live beneath your divine heritage. Your words are the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between imagination and reality, between what is and what can be. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are the creator of circumstances through the divine power of your speech. You are here to prove that limitation is an illusion, that lack is a lie, that fear is a fiction. You are here to demonstrate that love is the only reality, that abundance is your natural state, that joy is your divine inheritance. I promise you this, as you begin to speak from your divinity rather than your humanity, as you learn to use words as tools of creation rather than description, your entire world will transform. Doors that were closed will open. Opportunities that were invisible will appear. People who can help you will be drawn to you. This is not magic. This is natural law. This is not wishful thinking. This is the science of creation. You are not learning something new. You are remembering something ancient. You are not becoming something different. You are accepting something that has always been true. The transformation will not be immediate, but it will be inevitable. As you persist in conscious speech, as you refuse to accept limitation as your reality, as you speak from the end of your desires, the universe will rearrange itself to match your words. Old patterns will dissolve. New possibilities will emerge. What seemed impossible will become inevitable. What felt distant will draw near. What appeared difficult will become natural. As you transform your own speech and consequently your own life, you'll become an inspiration to others. Your example will give others permission to examine their own use of words. Your transformation will create ripples of awakening in everyone around you. You'll become what I call a consciousness lifter, someone whose very presence elevates the conversation, whose words inspire hope, whose faith makes the impossible seem possible. This is not ego. This is divine service. You serve others by demonstrating the power that lives within them too. Children will feel safe around you because you don't speak fear. Adults will seek your company because you speak possibility. The world will benefit from your conscious use of the creative word. Make conscious speech a spiritual practice. Just as some people pray or meditate, make the conscious use of words your form of worship. Every positive word is a prayer. Every empowering statement is an act of faith. Every declaration of truth is a moment of communion with the divine. Begin each day by speaking your intentions into existence. End each day by blessing everything you experienced. Throughout the day, catch yourself speaking unconsciously and immediately revise your words to align with your highest vision. Create rituals around your speech. Before important conversations, silently affirm that your words will be guided by wisdom and love. Before making decisions, declare that you have divine guidance. Before entering challenging situations, speak peace and success into the experience. Will you make this commitment with me tonight? Will you agree to treat your words as the sacred creative tools they are? Will you refuse to speak limitation over your life and instead declare the truth of your infinite potential? This is not a commitment to positive thinking. It's a commitment to truth thinking. It's not about denying reality, it's about creating reality. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about speaking everything into greater perfection. Your commitment is sacred because your creative power is sacred. You're not just changing your vocabulary. You're claiming your divine inheritance. You're not just speaking differently. You're living differently. This moment, right now, is the moment of your transformation. Not tomorrow. Not when conditions are perfect. Not when you feel ready. Now. The power is present. The opportunity is here. The time is now. Your transformation begins with your next word. Your new life starts with your next sentence. The kingdom of heaven, which is simply life lived from divine consciousness, awaits your recognition. As you leave here tonight, you take with you the most powerful creative tool in existence, your voice. Use it consciously. Use it lovingly. Use it powerfully. Use it to create the life you've always dreamed of living. Remember, every conversation is an opportunity to practice conscious creation. Every phone call is a chance to speak truth. Every interaction is a moment to demonstrate the power of the divine word. You are the word made flesh. You are consciousness individualized. You are the operant power in your world. Begin now to speak as the God you are, and watch as your world rearranges itself to confirm your divine declarations. The power is yours. The choice is yours. The time is now. Go forth and create with your words. Speak your world into being. Live from the end of your desires, and watch as the middle fills itself in with divine precision. This is your divine inheritance. This is your sacred power. This is your time. The word is made flesh through you. The universe is waiting for your command. Eternity is listening for your voice. Begin now. Remember, you are not learning to use power. You are learning to recognize the power you've always possessed. Every word is a choice. Every choice is creation. Every creation is divine. The infinite creative power of the universe flows through your voice at this very moment. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it now.
There comes a moment in every life when the old world becomes too small to hold the magnitude of who you are becoming. A moment when the familiar begins to dissolve, not because something is going wrong, but because something far greater is emerging. That moment is now. You are entering your next level, and everything in your life is shifting to prepare you for what you are meant to receive. Your next level is not something you chase. It is something you align with. It already exists as a living reality, a completed version of you waiting to be occupied. You don't walk toward your next level. You awaken into it. You step into the version of yourself who has already received the blessings you're asking for. And the moment you accept that version internally, the outer world bends to match it. Your imagination is not a place you escape to. It is the workshop where your future is crafted. Everything that will ever manifest in your life must first be claimed within. When you close your eyes and see yourself blessed, elevated, expanded, you are not pretending. You are touching the higher reality that longs to express itself through you. You are rehearsing the inevitable. Feel the truth of your desires. They are not random. They are not accidental. They are the echoes of what is already yours, trying to call you forward. A desire is evidence of possession. You cannot long for something that does not already exist for you in another state of consciousness. This is why your inner shift is the cause of every outer change. Nothing moves in your world until something moves within you. The moment you accept your next level in consciousness, not hope for it, not wait for it, not beg for it, but assume it, everything external begins rearranging itself to reflect that internal decision. Doors open that were once locked. People appear who were once absent. Opportunities approach that once seemed impossible. Nothing around you has changed. You changed, and your world is responding. Get ready to receive, because receiving is not an act of the hands, it is an act of the mind. To receive is to accept. To accept is to assume. To assume is to know it is already done. So let this be your turning point. Walk as the one who has already stepped into the promise. Breathe as the one who has already crossed the threshold. Think from the reality you desire, not about it. Feel the relief of having it. Feel the gratitude of possessing it. Feel the certainty of embodying it. Persistence is the bridge. When you return again and again to the inner knowing that your next level is already yours, the outer world has no choice but to yield. Reality is obedient to the one who knows where they stand, and you, right now, stand at the doorway of your expansion. Your next level is not coming, you are entering it. Get ready to receive, because the moment you choose it within, it becomes unavoidable without. Your next level is not something distant, separate, or hidden from you. It is not a prize you must chase, nor a blessing you must earn. It already exists as a completed version of your life, waiting for you to step into it. Before you even had the desire, the reality of its fulfillment was already prepared. You are not creating your next level. You are aligning with what has always been yours in a higher state of consciousness. When you feel a desire, you are not longing for something outside of yourself. You are remembering something that belongs to you in another dimension of awareness. Your next level is a state you awaken to, not a destination you struggle toward. It is like stepping into a room that has been fully furnished, beautifully arranged, and patiently waiting for your arrival. All you are doing now is opening the door. Everything you want exists in potential the moment you imagine it. The desire appears because the reality already exists. You cannot desire what is not possible, and you cannot envision what is not already prepared. So when your heart pulls toward expansion, increase, abundance, love, or transformation, it is simply recognizing what is already true for you. You are stepping into a version of yourself that has been living there all along. Your next level doesn't come from effort, it comes from identity. It unfolds when you choose to see yourself as the person who already possesses the things you seek. When you imagine yourself successful, favored, wealthy, loved, or transformed, you are not fabricating a fantasy. You are tuning into a higher frequency of your own being. You are adopting the inner state where everything you desire is normal and natural. The world you experience is always the shadow of who you are within. When you elevate your inner state, your outer world must rise to meet it. Your circumstances do not create your identity creates your circumstances. This is why your next level reveals itself the moment you decide to embody it, not when the outer world gives you permission. You do not wait for conditions to change. Conditions wait for you to change. Every limitation you've faced was only a reflection of an old state you no longer belong in. The struggles were not signs of failure, but signs of growth, showing you what you had outgrown. You were never stuck. You were being prepared. You were never denied. You were being aligned. Now the shift is happening within you. You are remembering your power. You are awakening to your true nature. You are recognizing that what you want is simply the next expression of who you already are. And because it exists now, not later, you can step into it now. Your next level is not ahead of you, it is within you. It is not waiting on time, it is waiting on acceptance. And the moment you claim it, internally, everything externally begins to rearrange itself to match your new state of being. You are not becoming someone new. You are returning to the version of yourself who has always been destined to rise. Your imagination is not a place you escape to. It is the most powerful creative force you possess. It is the doorway through which every breakthrough enters your life. Nothing in your world can change until something shifts in the realm of imagination first. Every great transformation begins as an inner picture, a feeling, a thought, a quiet moment in which you dare to see life differently than it appears. Your imagination is not fantasy, It is the blueprint of your future reality. When you imagine a new life, you activate a higher version of yourself. You begin to operate from a state where your desires already exist. The images you hold within are not idle dreams. They are instructions you give to life. They are the seeds that grow into circumstances, opportunities, and outcomes. The mind does not differentiate between a vividly imagined experience and a physical one. It reacts the same way. And because the mind shifts, your entire reality begins to reorganize around that shift. Every breakthrough you seek, whether in love, abundance, healing, success, or personal transformation, must first be accepted in imagination. If you cannot hold it within, you cannot experience it without. Imagination is your silent agreement with the life you desire. When you accept the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you signal that you are ready. You declare that you are no longer waiting for change, you are embodying it. The outer world is slow and dense, but imagination is immediate. The moment you imagine something with conviction, you enter into its state. You step into the version of yourself who already has the breakthrough. And once you occupy that inner state, life has no choice but to mirror it. The world is an obedient servant to your inner images. It does not argue, question, or resist. It simply reflects. This is why imagination must become your sanctuary, your workshop, and your point of creation. The more clearly you see the life you desire, the more naturally it manifests. When you imagine yourself confident, opportunities appear that match that confidence. When you imagine yourself loved, people show up who resonate with that love. When you imagine abundance, doors open that were once invisible. Imagination reveals pathways that hard effort alone could never uncover. Your breakthroughs are not earned through struggle. They are unlocked through alignment. Alignment with the imagery, the feeling, and the identity of the version of you was already broken through. To imagine is to choose. To choose is to shift states. And when you shift states, everything around you must shift as well. Imagination is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between the possible and the inevitable. It is the first cause of everything you will ever experience. When you honor your imagination, you honor your power. When you practice it daily, you train yourself to think from your desired reality instead of about it. And when you live in the state of your fulfilled desire long enough, the breakthrough must appear. Not because life finally allows it, but because you finally became the one who expects it. Assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled is the moment you decide within yourself that what you desire is already yours. It is not pretending, hoping, or trying to convince yourself. It is an inner acceptance, a quiet but powerful shift in identity, where you no longer look at your desire as something distant, but as something present. When you assume the feeling of having what you want, you step into the state where your desire is already a fact. And once you occupy that state, reality begins to reshape itself to match it. Everything in your world is a reflection of the state of consciousness you live in. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are changing the root cause. You are rewriting the inner story from which your outer life is projected. The moment you feel the relief, the joy, the gratitude, or the certainty of already having what you desire, your inner world shifts. And because your inner world is the source, your outer world must follow. This process does not require force or effort. It requires surrender, a willingness to let go of the old version of yourself who lacked, waited, or hoped, and step into the version who already receives. The more vividly you feel your desire as real, the more natural it becomes. You begin to think from the reality you want rather than about it. Thinking about something keeps it in the future. Thinking from it makes it present. When you hold the inner feeling consistently, reality reorganizes in ways you could never strategize. People appear, opportunities unfold, obstacles dissolve, and synchronicities line up with precision. Nothing is accidental. Everything is responding to the state you have chosen. Reality bends to the one who has already claimed their desire within. Assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled is also the secret to dissolving doubt. When you feel the end result in your body and mind, there is no room for uncertainty. Doubt belongs to the version of you who has not yet received. But the version of you living in the fulfilled state knows it is done. This inner knowing becomes magnetic. It draws circumstances that match your conviction. You do not need to know how your desire will manifest. The how is the job of the unseen, not your responsibility. Your only task is to remain in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to return to it again and again whenever your mind wanders. This persistence is not struggle, it is alignment. It is choosing the end result until it becomes your natural resting place. And then, almost effortlessly, life begins to shift. What once seemed out of reach becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes obvious. You begin to act, speak, and think like the version of you who already has what you desire. And because you have changed, your world must change. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Live in the state of completion. Let the inner acceptance become stronger than any outer appearance. When you do, reality will reshape around you, not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with what has always been yours. Your inner shift is the true cause of everything you experience in your outer world. Every circumstance, every opportunity, every challenge, and every blessing is shaped by the state of consciousness you consistently occupy. The world around you is not creating your emotions. Your emotions, assumptions, and beliefs are creating the world around you. What you hold within becomes the script that life must act out. When you finally understand this, you stop trying to fix the outer and learn to transform the inner, because you realize the outer is only an echo. Nothing in your external world has independent power. It cannot move, change, or rearrange itself until you shift the internal state that is generating it. The moment you change your inner assumptions, your reality begins to reorganize without resistance. It listens to your state, not your words, not your wishes, not even your efforts. You can work endlessly in the outer world, but if the inner state remains the same, the results will remain unchanged. Likewise, the moment you shift within, life moves with remarkable speed, often in ways that feel miraculous. Your inner world is the cause because it is the origin point of your reactions, your expectations, your choices, and the lens through which you interpret everything. When you change the lens, you change the world you see. A person who believes they are supported by life will experience support. A person who believes they are overlooked will encounter situations that confirm it. Life simply mirrors back the assumptions you have accepted as true. This is why inner shifts are so powerful. When you decide that you are worthy, life begins to reflect opportunities that match your worthiness. When you decide that abundance is natural for you, avenues of increase begin to appear. When you decide that love is your birthright, relationships transform. The outer world bends to the identity you choose within. Everything starts with who you assume yourself to be. This shift is not about positive thinking. It is about changing your inner state of being. It is about stepping into a new identity and living from that place until the world has no choice but to conform. You don't need to wait for signs. The inner shift is the sign. The moment you feel differently, think differently, and assume differently, you have already initiated the outer transformation. The world responds to your dominant state, not your fleeting emotions. A moment of doubt does not undo you. What matters is the state you return to, the state you live in, the state you embody. When your inner world becomes rooted in confidence, peace, abundance, or fulfillment, your outer world must reflect those qualities in experiences, events, and people. Trying to change the outer world without changing the inner is like trying to alter your reflection in a mirror without touching your face. It cannot be done. But when you shift inwardly, the outer responds effortlessly. It is law. It is natural. It is inevitable. What you are ready to receive has been waiting for your permission long before you ever realized it. Life does not withhold anything from you. Every desire, every opportunity, every blessing exists in potential the moment you feel the longing for it. But potential does not become reality until you allow it. Your permission is the energetic doorway through which your desires enter your world. Without that inner yes, without that acceptance, the things meant for you remain suspended in possibility, waiting for you to claim them. You are not waiting for life. Life is waiting for you to say, I am ready, waiting for you to believe you are worthy, waiting for you to occupy the version of yourself who can hold the blessings you seek. Nothing you desire is outside your reach. It is only outside your willingness to receive. The moment you give permission, internally and energetically, you open the channel through which everything aligns. Permission is not spoken, it is felt. It is not forced, it is surrendered. Permission is the moment you stop resisting your own greatness, stop shrinking your vision, stop questioning your potential. It is the moment you choose to step into the identity that matches the life you want. When you allow yourself to desire boldly and accept wholeheartedly, you signal to life that you are prepared to receive. Many people wait for perfect conditions before giving themselves permission to receive. But perfect conditions never come first. Inner permission comes first, and conditions follow. You give yourself permission to be wealthy before wealth arrives. You give yourself permission to be loved before love shows up. You give yourself permission to succeed before success becomes visible. Life expands according to the permission you give it. Your desires are not random. They are invitations. They are signals from a higher version of yourself calling you into expansion. Every time you feel the pull to grow, improve, rise, or evolve, it is because something is ready to manifest through you. But it cannot enter your life while you are clinging to doubt, fear, or hesitation. When you withhold permission, you unconsciously block the very things that are meant for you. When you finally say yes, truly, deeply, internally, you will notice how quickly things begin to shift. Conversations unfold that you could not have orchestrated. Opportunities appear with perfect timing. Resources become available. People show up to support your path. Everything begins to cooperate with your desire because you have aligned with it. You have opened the door. Permission is a declaration. I allow myself to receive what is already mine. I release the past versions of me that felt unworthy. I welcome the expansion that life has prepared. Once you give that inner yes, everything changes. Life bends to your acceptance. The blessings that waited silently begin to move. What felt delayed suddenly becomes immediate. What felt distant becomes close. What felt impossible becomes inevitable. Your readiness is the signal. Your acceptance is the key. Your permission is the command. And everything you seek has been waiting for it. Persistence in your inner knowing is the force that turns every locked door in the outer world into an open pathway. The world may present obstacles, delays, or appearances of resistance, but none of these hold real power when you remain loyal to the inner truth of who you are and what you have already claimed within. Outer obstacles are temporary illusions. Inner knowing is the permanent reality. The moment you decide that your desire is already fulfilled in consciousness, your only task is to persist in that state until the outer world aligns. Persistence is not fighting, forcing, or struggling. It is simply returning again and again to the inner conviction that your desire is already yours. It is choosing the end result in your imagination even when the physical world shows something different. It is holding the inner picture with calm certainty, refusing to be moved by appearances. When you persist in your chosen state, you elevate yourself above circumstances instead of allowing circumstances to dictate your state. Every locked door in your outer world represents a belief you have already outgrown. When you shift your inner assumptions and persist in them, the door cannot remain closed. It must open, because the outer world cannot contradict the state you have fully embodied. It may take time for physical reality to reorganize, but the process begins the moment you persist in your inner knowing. What appears to be delay is simply the world catching up to the shift that has already taken place within you. Persistence strengthens your identity. It teaches you to trust your inner vision more than the temporary outer noise. When you persist, you are saying, "My inner world is the cause. My outer world is the effect. Therefore, I choose to remain faithful to my inner truth." This unwavering loyalty to your own consciousness makes you unshakable. Challenges lose their power. Doubt dissolves. Fear fades. You become rooted in the certainty that what you have assumed is already done. This persistence does not require force. It requires consistency. A few moments each day of entering the state of your fulfilled desire can shift your entire world. When you repeatedly return to the feeling of having what you want, the mind begins to accept it as fact. And once the mind accepts something as real, the outer world begins to reflect it as your lived experience. Locked doors open in unexpected ways. Situations shift effortlessly. Opportunities appear where none existed before. People who once seemed indifferent become supportive. Circumstances that seemed rigid become flexible. Reality bends not because you pushed harder, but because you persisted longer in your inner conviction. When you persist in the knowing that your desire is fulfilled, you transcend doubt, you transcend fear, you transcend the old version of yourself that accepted limitations. You rise into the identity that matches the life you are choosing. And once that identity becomes your home, every locked door becomes a doorway, every barrier becomes a bridge, and every obstacle becomes evidence that your manifestation is on its way. Persistence in your inner knowing is the silent power that shapes your world. It proves that nothing external has authority over you. It confirms that your inner state is the master key, and with it no door can remain closed. The truth is simple. Everything you seek is already alive within you. Your next level is not arriving. You are rising into it. Your imagination has already carved the path. Your assumptions have already shaped the outcomes. Your inner shift has already rearranged the world around you. And every desire you hold is patiently waiting for your permission to unfold. The doors that once locked will open the moment you persist in the knowing that they were never locked to begin with. You are stepping into a new reality, a higher version of yourself, a life that matches the greatness you've carried within all along. Walk with certainty, walk with faith, walk as the one who already possesses every blessing they seek. Your new life is not coming, it is unfolding through you right now. Thank you for listening, and thank you for allowing this message to awaken the power already within you.
My friends, sit with me tonight as I share with you the most profound secret ever revealed to man. A secret so simple, so immediate, that most will dismiss it as impossible. Yet I tell you now, with absolute certainty, that what I am about to share with you will transform your world, if you dare to believe it. Every morning, my dear friends, you awaken not just to a new day, but to a new opportunity to be God in action. Yes, you heard me correctly. God in action. For you see, the God you worship, the God you seek in temples and churches, is none other than your own wonderful human imagination. As you open your eyes each morning, you stand at the very edge of infinite possibility. It matters not one whit who you were yesterday, or what storms you weathered last week. Each sunrise brings with it a blank canvas. And that canvas, your magnificent imagination, is ready for you to paint upon it the most glorious reality you can conceive. But what do we do instead? We rise and immediately surrender our divine birthright. We check the news, the notifications, the weight of yesterday's troubles, before we even check in with ourselves. In doing so, we hand over the brush, the very power to create our day, to everything and everyone else. But tonight, I ask you, what if tomorrow you didn't? What if instead of being shaped by the world, you shaped your experience of it? What if you remembered that you are the operant power in your world? Listen carefully. The power to create your reality does not belong to fate, to chance, or to other people. It belongs to you. It always has. It always will. This power lives in your thoughts, in the language you use with yourself, in the emotions you choose to nurture. Your thoughts, my friends, are not fleeting whispers in the wind. They are the very architects of your experience. The way you think colors the way you see. The way you see determines how you feel, and how you feel shapes the entirety of your existence. Now I will teach you the great law that governs all manifestation. Assumption. When I say I am in control of my thoughts and feelings, I am not speaking of positive thinking. I am speaking of the fundamental truth of your being. You are not a bystander in your mind. You are its absolute ruler, its conductor, its God. The thoughts you think most often become the beliefs you live by. And those beliefs, they become your very story, your lived reality. If you assume and persist in assuming, I can't, I'm not good enough, nothing ever works out for me, your wonderful imagination will clothe these assumptions in flesh and blood. Your subconscious mind will move heaven and earth to make these assumptions true in your experience. But, and here is the glorious truth, if you begin instead with I am capable, I choose peace, I deserve good things, your imagination will seek these with the same unwavering certainty. Your subconscious does not argue with you. It simply fulfills your assumptions. You don't have to get it perfect, my friends. You need only be intentional. When a negative thought presents itself, do not fight it. Do not wrestle with it. Simply recognize it. Then replace it. Be firm but gentle with your mind, for it is listening to every word you speak to yourself. I am worthy of all the good things that come to me. Write this upon your heart. You don't have to earn your worth through suffering or struggle. You don't have to hustle for approval or prove that you deserve joy. You already do. Your worth is not conditional upon your productivity, your past mistakes, or the fickle opinions of others. It is yours by divine right, simply and profoundly yours, by virtue of your existence as God individualized. Let that truth penetrate every fiber of your being. You are worthy of love, success, peace, rest, and laughter. Not tomorrow when you've fixed yourself, but now exactly as you are in this moment. Now I will reveal to you perhaps the most revolutionary truth you will ever hear. You are the creator of your experiences. Life does not happen to you. Life is perpetually responding to you. Every thought, every belief, every emotion sends forth a signal into the infinite field of possibility. And that signal draws unto you people, opportunities, and events that match your inner frequency. This is not blame, my dear friends. This is the most glorious empowerment. For if you created it, you can recreate it. Look upon your current experience and ask, what is this teaching me? What assumption did this spring from? And what do I choose to assume now? The very moment you begin to consciously create, to assume deliberately rather than by default, your life begins its magnificent transformation. But now you might ask, Neville, how do I know I'm moving in the right direction? How do I navigate this process of conscious creation? And so I give you 6 assumptions now that will set you free. I trust the process of life. This assumption, my friends, when truly embodied, becomes one of the most liberating truths you can ever embrace. So many of us exhaust ourselves trying to control the uncontrollable, gripping tightly to outcomes, overthinking every step of the journey. But life has a rhythm, a flow, a higher wisdom that your conscious mind cannot always comprehend. Sometimes you will not understand why something is happening, but trust that it is guiding you toward your greater good. Sometimes what appears as rejection is redirection. Sometimes what feels like setback is setting the stage for your next breakthrough. Trust is not passive resignation. It is active surrender. It is choosing to believe that life is unfolding for your highest good, even when the path seems unclear. I am constantly growing and evolving. You are not who you were a year ago, or even a week ago. You are in constant becoming. With every lesson, every challenge, every small moment of courage, you evolve into more of who you truly are. You may not always feel as though you're progressing, but growth is not always visible to the naked eye. Sometimes it happens underground, quietly strengthening your roots so you can bloom more magnificently than ever before. Give yourself grace. You are a work in progress. And that is not a limitation, but a beautiful truth. I am deserving of love and acceptance just as I am. Stop waiting to become perfect before you allow yourself to feel love. There is no version of you more worthy than the one listening to these words right now. You are already enough, complete, whole, perfect in your divine imperfection. You don't need to shrink to be liked. You don't need to mold yourself to fit someone else's idea of lovable. You don't need to fix your flaws before you let love in. The love you seek begins with you. And when you love yourself deeply, unapologetically, that love radiates outward and attracts more of the same. Like calls unto like, this is law. I am at peace with where I am right now. The present moment is your point of power. Not the past, not the future, but this eternal now. If you're always chasing the next thing, regretting the last thing, you'll miss the everything that's happening right in front of you. Peace doesn't mean you don't desire growth. It means you're not at war with where you are. You can still strive, but do it from a place of calm, not chaos. From acceptance, not resistance. Breathe into this moment. This is your life right now, and it is worthy of your full presence. I am aligned with my true purpose. You don't have to go searching for your purpose in some distant land. It's not hidden under a rock or waiting to be discovered in some career path. Your purpose lives within you, in your curiosity, in your passions, in the things that make you feel most alive, in those moments when time disappears and your soul speaks louder than your fears. Each step you take in alignment with your truth, no matter how small, is a step toward your purpose. You don't need to have it all figured out. You need only follow what lights you up from within. I am grateful for today and all it brought me. Gratitude, my friends, is the bridge between the life you have and the life you desire. It turns what you have into enough. Even in the most challenging days, there is something to be grateful for. A kind word, a breath of fresh air, a lesson learned. The more you look for things to appreciate, the more your life expands to meet your gratitude. Gratitude is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing the beauty that already exists. It's the golden thread that weaves through every experience, transmuting even pain into wisdom. These assumptions I have shared with you tonight are not mere positive thoughts. They are fundamental truths about your divine nature. And the more you speak them, feel them, live them, the more they become your lived reality. Repeat them, write them, meditate upon them. Let them guide you when you feel lost. Let them anchor you when the world feels overwhelming. For you are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the author of your story. You don't have to wait for permission to change. You don't need everything to be perfect before you begin. The only thing you need is willingness, a decision to show up, speak truth to yourself, and move forward one aligned assumption at a time. The world you desire is not out of reach. The peace you seek, the love you long for, the success you dream of, it all begins with you, with your assumptions, with your wonderful human imagination. So tonight, speak these words not just with your voice, but with your entire being. I am in control of my thoughts and feelings. I am worthy of all the good things that come to me. I am the creator of my experiences. I trust the process of life. I am constantly growing and evolving. I am deserving of love and acceptance just as I am. I am at peace with where I am right now. I am aligned with my true purpose. I am grateful for today and all it brought me. Say them, feel them, become them. You are not here by accident, my dear friends. You are here to create, to grow, to love, and to shine your unique light upon the world. The universe is ready. The canvas is blank. The brush of imagination is in your hand. Now go forth and create your masterpiece. For you are God in action. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing that you cannot be, do, or have when you assume it to be true.
I want you to hear this and take it deep into your heart. The victory you seek is not somewhere ahead of you, waiting for time to deliver it. It is already settled. It exists now, in the unseen realm, quietly perfect, patiently waiting for you to recognize it. Every moment you feel lack, doubt, or hesitation, remember, these are not obstacles, but gentle nudges to return to your inner certainty. The outcome is certain. The only question is whether you are aligned with it. Imagine for a moment that the triumph you desire has already arrived. Feel it, see it, live it. Let your imagination paint the scene in vivid detail, and notice how your inner being begins to shift. When your mind accepts this reality as already yours, your outer world begins to reflect it naturally, effortlessly, without struggle. This is the secret. The end creates the beginning, not the other way around. Resistance may arise, doubts, delays, and distractions, but they are temporary and they carry no power except the one you give them. When these arise, return inwardly, reaffirm your state of victory, and allow the unseen to rearrange itself in perfect order. What you persist in imagining as real already is. Do not be deceived by temporary appearances. Live daily as the person who has already won. Speak, act, and think from that position of fulfillment. Let your life be a mirror reflecting the victory that has already been established within. Each small step you take becomes a natural extension of your inner state, effortlessly moving you toward the manifestation that awaits. The process is simple. Assume the end, persist in that assumption, and move forward. Forward is not a physical direction, it is a mental and emotional movement toward alignment with what is already yours. When your mind is steadfast, your victory will inevitably show itself in the world around you. So keep moving forward. Let every thought, every feeling, every choice be in harmony with the certainty that the victory is already yours. Trust this, live this, and let the universe bring the evidence to your senses. The battle is not in struggle, it is in realization. Victory is not a goal, it is your present reality. Step boldly into it. Victory is not a distant goal that must be pursued with struggle or effort. It is a state that already exists within you. Many people spend their lives chasing achievements, hoping that one day some external event will signal their success. Yet true victory is not something that comes from outside. It is born in the depths of your imagination and in the certainty of your inner reality. When you understand this, the need for struggle dissolves, and your life begins to unfold in perfect alignment with the state you assume as real. The end of every desire, the ultimate accomplishment you seek, is already accomplished in the unseen. It exists as a complete reality waiting for you to recognize it. The key is to dwell fully in the feeling of fulfillment. When you allow yourself to experience the satisfaction, the triumph, and the joy of having already achieved what you desire, your mind, body, and emotions begin to harmonize with that reality. This alignment is magnetic. It draws circumstances, opportunities, and people into your life that reflect the victory you have assumed. Many fail to realize that the outer world is merely a mirror of the inner state. You may see delays, obstacles, or apparent failures, but these are only temporary reflections of transient thoughts. They do not negate the reality of your accomplishment in the inner world. The more you insist upon the feeling of fulfillment, the more your external life begins to conform to that inner truth. Every thought, every emotion, every action that is consistent with your inner victory becomes a catalyst for its manifestation. Living in the end is not wishful thinking. It is a deliberate state of consciousness. It requires focus, imagination, and unwavering belief that your desire is already fulfilled. When you adopt this inner certainty, your life begins to move effortlessly toward that reality. You no longer chase victory. Instead, you recognize it in every step, in every encounter, in every circumstance that begins to shift and align with your imagined state. The power of dwelling in the feeling of fulfillment is transformative. It shifts you from a state of longing and lack to a state of certainty and ease. Your outer world will follow, naturally and inevitably, because reality responds to the state you occupy. Victory is not ahead of you, it is already yours. To live fully in this truth is to live free from struggle, fully empowered, and in harmony with the limitless creative power that is your own consciousness. Your imagination is not merely a tool for fantasy or idle daydreaming. It is the very creative power through which your reality is formed. Every experience, every circumstance, and every condition in your life first appears in the invisible realm of thought and feeling before it manifests in the physical world. What you consistently imagine, coupled with the feeling that it is already true, lays the blueprint for the experiences that are yet to come. Your imagination is the workshop where your future is crafted, and it is through persistent, focused imagination that your desires are brought into tangible form. To imagine, effectively, is to assume the state of your fulfilled desire as though it is already a present reality. This requires more than just visualizing an outcome. It demands that you immerse yourself fully in the feelings, sensations, and certainty that accompany your victory. When you see yourself as already successful, when you feel the satisfaction, pride, and joy that come with achieving your goal, your consciousness begins to radiate this reality outward. The universe, operating in perfect harmony with your inner state, responds by arranging circumstances and events that match the reality you persistently imagine. Many people falter because they allow fleeting doubts, fears, or contradictory thoughts to weaken the images they create. Imagination must be sustained and disciplined. The more vividly and consistently you inhabit your imagined state, the more deeply it embeds itself into your consciousness. Each time you return to the feeling of already having achieved your victory, you reinforce the truth of that state, and reality begins to conform to it naturally. This is not magic. It is the law of consciousness in action. Persisting in the feeling of fulfillment transforms not only your external circumstances, but your internal world as well. Your thoughts, actions, and decisions start to flow from the inner certainty you have assumed. You begin to recognize opportunities that align with your vision, and you move effortlessly toward them. Obstacles lose their power because you are anchored in a reality that exists beyond temporary appearances. Imagination, when coupled with feeling, becomes irresistible. It creates a magnetic pull that draws your circumstances into perfect alignment with your inner world. Your imagination is a seed, and your feeling is the sunlight and water that make it grow. What you cultivate within your mind and heart will inevitably appear in your life. Persist in seeing and feeling your victory as already achieved, and you will notice that the outer world begins to mirror the inner truth you maintain. By consciously directing your imagination, you become the deliberate creator of your experience, and nothing outside of you can prevent the manifestation of what you hold as real in your mind and heart. Doubt, delay, and resistance are often misunderstood. Many interpret them as obstacles, as signs that their desires will not manifest, that the path to their goals is blocked. Yet this could not be further from the truth. Resistance is not an enemy, it is a messenger. It is a gentle reminder from your inner being that you have drifted away from the certainty of what is already true. Every doubt, hesitation, and moment of frustration is simply a signal inviting you to return to your inner state of assurance, to the consciousness in which your victory has already been accomplished. When resistance arises, it is tempting to react with impatience, to struggle harder, to attempt to force the circumstances to align with your desires. But this only strengthens the illusion of lack. True mastery lies in recognizing that what is unseen, the perfect, completed reality of your desire, is already in motion, already working in your favor. No delay, no external circumstance, and no apparent obstacle can halt the unfolding of what has been firmly established in the inner world. Resistance exists only to redirect your attention, to remind you, to reaffirm your inner certainty. Think of resistance as a signpost rather than a barrier. When it appears, it tells you that your focus has wandered, that you are giving credence to appearances rather than to the unseen reality that is complete and perfect. Every doubt is an opportunity to strengthen your inner conviction. Return to the feeling of fulfillment, dwell in the reality of your victory, and let the unseen continue its work without interference. In this way, resistance is not something to fear. It is a tool to deepen your faith, to anchor you more firmly in the consciousness of your desired outcome. The world you see is merely a reflection of your inner state. When you persist in inner certainty, doubts begin to dissolve naturally. Delays lose their grip because the unseen is already moving, quietly orchestrating circumstances that are in perfect alignment with your imagined reality. By understanding this principle, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You become the deliberate creator, responding to resistance not with panic or worry, but with calm assurance and steadfast focus on the end you have already assumed. In every moment that resistance presents itself, choose to return inwardly. Reaffirm the reality that is already established, and know that the universe responds to this unshakable certainty. Nothing outside of you can prevent the manifestation of your inner state. Doubts and delays are only signals, not obstacles. They are reminders that the victory is settled, the end is accomplished, and your faith in it must remain unshaken. Trust in the unseen, persist in your inner certainty, and watch as every apparent challenge dissolves before the unstoppable power of your assumed reality. To live from the end is to step into the reality of your fulfilled desire before it manifests outwardly. It is a profound shift in consciousness, where your thoughts, words, and actions are guided not by what is, but by what already is in the unseen. Most people live in reaction to their circumstances, measuring their confidence and action based on what appears to be true in the world around them. Living from the end, however, requires you to reverse this approach. Your inner certainty shapes your outer reality, not the way around. When you act, speak, and think as the person who has already achieved their goal, you align every aspect of your being with the inevitable manifestation of that desire. Living from the end begins with imagination, but it is more than idle visualization. It is the deliberate assumption of the state of your fulfilled desire. Feel what it feels like to have already succeeded. Speak as though your victory has already been secured. Make decisions from the standpoint of someone whose life is already complete in this area. The power of this practice lies in its ability to transform your outer actions. Once your inner world is aligned with the reality of your desire, every choice you make flows naturally from this certainty. You act with confidence, clarity, and purpose, attracting circumstances that mirror the state you have assumed. Many stumble because they wait for proof before acting, hoping the world will first show them signs of success. But living from the end teaches that proof is never the starting point, it is the result. Your outer life is a reflection of your inner state. When you think and act from the end, you create an invisible current that pulls your circumstances into harmony with your assumed reality. Opportunities appear, connections are made, and solutions become evident, all because your actions are now consistent with the state of fulfillment you have assumed. Consistency is key. Each day, consciously maintain the feeling of being the person who has already won. Let it guide your speech, your body language, your interactions, and even your decisions in the smallest matters. Over time, this state becomes a natural way of being, and your external world inevitably catches up to the inner reality you persistently inhabit. Living from the end is not about pretending or forcing reality. It is about acknowledging the truth of the unseen and allowing it to manifest through every action. When you live from the end, your life becomes a mirror of the victory already accomplished within. Your inner certainty shapes your outer world effortlessly, and every step you take moves you closer to the tangible expression of the reality you have assumed as true. The power is already within you. Act, speak, and think as the victor, and the world will follow. Persistence in assumption is the cornerstone of manifesting any desire. It is the conscious decision to inhabit the state of your fulfilled wish, moment after moment, without wavering. Many people mistake desire for wishful thinking, hoping that mere longing or sporadic focus will bring results. But true manifestation requires sustained assumption, the unwavering mental and emotional acceptance that your desire is already real. Each moment you persist in this assumption strengthens the unseen forces working on your behalf, aligning circumstances, events, and people to bring the imagined reality into your experience. To assume the state of your fulfilled desire means to fully embody it in thought, feeling, and consciousness. It is not enough to think about the outcome occasionally. Your mind must dwell in the reality of your victory, experiencing it as present and complete. When you consistently assume the state of fulfillment, you create a mental and emotional environment in which the manifestation is inevitable. Your inner world becomes so saturated with the reality of your desire that the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. Persistence transforms fleeting imagination into living reality. Doubt and distraction may arise, attempting to pull you away from your assumption. These are natural, but they need not disturb you. Each time such thoughts appear, simply return to the state you have chosen, reaffirming that what you desire is already accomplished. The unseen, which is always responsive to the state of consciousness, continues its work quietly, rearranging the elements of your life to match your persistent assumption. Faith is not a passive wish. It is the active, unbroken assumption of your desire as true. Every action, word, and feeling aligned with this assumption acts like a signal to the universe, accelerating the manifestation. Even moments of joy, gratitude, or confident expectation strengthen the inner reality you inhabit. Persistence is cumulative. Each instant spent in the feeling of fulfillment compounds, creating an unstoppable momentum that carries your desire from imagination to tangible reality. The longer and more consistently you maintain this state, the more inevitable the outcome becomes. The beauty of persistence in assumption is that it shifts your focus entirely from what appears to be lacking to what is already fulfilled. You no longer measure progress by external evidence, but by the inner state you maintain. As you persist, you will notice subtle signs, opportunities, and synchronicities that confirm the reality of your assumption. Eventually, the external world must conform because reality always mirrors consciousness. So, tu for me is important because the reality already shifts always consciousness. To persist in assumption is to participate actively in creation, to hold the vision steady until it manifests, and to know without question that what you have imagined and felt is already yours. To keep moving forward is to embrace the unstoppable momentum of thought and feeling, even when the external world seems to suggest otherwise. Many people allow appearances to dictate their pace, halting progress at the first sign of difficulty, delay, or contradiction. Yet the truth is that the outer circumstances are merely reflections of the inner state. When you maintain forward momentum in your consciousness, holding firm to the feeling of fulfillment, the certainty of victory, and the reality of your desires, the world begins to align, slowly but inevitably, with what you have assumed to be true. Progress is first invisible, existing in the unseen realm, and only later does it manifest outwardly. Forward movement is not measured by what you see, but by what you persist in feeling. Each thought that affirms your victory, each emotion that embodies your success, propels you closer to the inevitable manifestation. Even when circumstances appear contrary, when doubt or delay surfaces, the essential practice is to continue moving forward inwardly. Do not allow the temporary evidence of the senses to sway your mind from the reality you have assumed. What you hold in consciousness is the seed from which all outer results must grow. The world cannot help but respond to a mind and heart steadfastly focused on the end, because consciousness is the creative force behind every experience. There is an invisible law at work. The world arranges itself according to the dominant state you maintain. Forward momentum is not about frantic action or force. It is about consistent alignment with your assumed reality. Each time you return to the inner state of fulfillment, each time you feel the satisfaction of having already achieved your desire, you are moving forward. Even small moments of conscious alignment compound over time, creating an irresistible current that carries your imagination into form. Those who persevere in this way discover that external circumstances begin to mirror the inner certainty they have nurtured. Obstacles, delays, and contrary appearances are not signs that you are off course. They are opportunities to strengthen your inner focus. Every challenge is a reminder to double down on the feeling of forward motion, to persist in the assumption that the victory is already accomplished. By holding fast to your inner momentum, you transcend the temporary fluctuations of the outer world. To keep moving forward is to trust the unseen, to allow your inner certainty to dictate the pace and direction of your life. Your imagination, your feelings, and your assumptions carry more weight than any external evidence. When you persist in this inner movement, the world begins to conform, synchronizing perfectly with the state you maintain. The momentum of thought and feeling is the bridge between desire and manifestation. And as long as you keep moving forward in consciousness, the victory that has been settled within you will inevitably appear without. In conclusion, the victory you seek is not a distant goal, but a reality already established within you. Every moment spent dwelling in the feeling of fulfillment, every act of imagination, every return to inner certainty, and every forward step of thought and emotion strengthens the alignment between your inner world and the life you wish to experience. Doubts, delays, and resistance are not obstacles. They are signals guiding you back to your unwavering certainty. When you live from the end, persist in assumption, and keep moving forward, you allow the unseen to orchestrate circumstances that reflect your inner state. The outer world is compelled to mirror the reality you maintain within. Your imagination is the workshop of creation. Your feelings are the fuel, and your persistence is the bridge that carries the unseen into form. Trust that what is already accomplished within your consciousness will manifest effortlessly in the physical world. Stand firm in this truth, act and feel as the victories, and watch as life rearranges itself to meet you where you are. The end is already settled. Your role is simply to recognize it, embody it, and move forward in unwavering faith. Thank you.
You need to understand that your entire external world is nothing more than a reflection of your internal state of consciousness. And this is where the idea of embodying your assumption takes root. For it is not enough to simply think of a desire occasionally or whisper hopeful affirmations, but you must live from the state of the wish fulfilled and let that reality become more real to you than the one you perceive with your senses. When you assume a new identity internally, you are stepping into a new version of yourself. And it is from that place of inner embodiment that the outer world reorganizes itself to mirror that new conception you hold of yourself, which means you must become the person who already has, already is, already lives the outcome you seek. You must walk, think, feel, respond, and carry yourself as the version of you who no longer seeks the desire but enjoys it as a part of your natural state. And in doing so, you dissolve the gap between wanting and having because you eliminate the need to chase what you have already become. When you detach from the physical evidence and shift your focus inward, you begin to experience a powerful shift in your consciousness, one where you no longer seek validation from what is, but instead command creation by aligning your inner world with your deepest desires. And this alignment is not a fleeting moment of visualization or a shallow repetition of words, but a deep, consistent embodiment of your assumed identity, which means that your mood, your reactions, and your expectations all reflect this new internal stance. You must become so rooted in your inner conviction that no outer appearance has the power to sway your belief or cause you to doubt the reality you have claimed within. And this requires a level of discipline and devotion to the unseen that is often misunderstood by those who look only to the senses for proof. You must move through your day with the certainty that what you have claimed internally is already yours. And even if the outer world remains unchanged for a time, you persist in the assumption until it hardens into fact. When you embody your assumption, you no longer try to make something happen, for the very effort implies lack and separation. And instead, you dwell in the end result, resting in the knowing that the world must conform to the state you occupy. And this rest is not laziness or inaction, but a deep trust in the process of creation, one where your inner state is the cause and the outer reflection is the effect. You no longer worry about timing, for time bends to the state you inhabit. And so you let go of the need to force or rush, understanding that urgency is born from doubt, and doubt is a signal that you have not yet fully assumed the state you desire to embody. You learn to relax into your new identity, choosing thoughts and feelings that align with your desired outcome. And in doing so, you shift your energetic signature, which magnetically draws to you the people, opportunities, and circumstances that resonate with your new state. You become the embodiment of your desire, not by outer doing, but by inner being. And this inner being becomes your new normal, your new base reality. And though the senses may continue to echo the old state for a time, you remain unmoved because you know that persistence in your assumption is what guarantees its external manifestation, and not the evidence or lack thereof around you. You detach not in the sense of indifference, but in the sense of no longer needing the outer world to prove your new identity to you, for you have already accepted it as true within. And this inner acceptance is what initiates the chain of events that culminate in physical manifestation. You speak to yourself from this new identity, you observe the world from this new perspective, and you respond to life as the version of you who already has what you once longed for. When you live from the end, you naturally align with the energy of your fulfilled desire, and everything in your world begins to reorient itself around that central state. Just as a magnet organizes metal filings into a new pattern, and though others may not understand how effortlessly your reality seems to shift, you know that it is not magic or chance, but the precise and unfailing law that whatever you accept as true of yourself becomes your experience. You do not merely pretend or hope, but you genuinely become inwardly and completely, and this becoming is not always loud or dramatic, but often silent and subtle. A quiet certainty that grows stronger with each moment you spend dwelling in the desired state. You no longer talk about your desire as something you want, but speak from it as though it is already woven into the fabric of your daily experience. And this shift in language reflects a deeper shift in identity. You stop seeking signs and stop watching for results because you know the only sign you need is your own inner conviction. And as you persist in this embodiment, the outer world must eventually catch up, for it is law, not luck, that governs creation. You move through the world with the quiet confidence of one who knows their power, who understands that the invisible assumption is more powerful than any visible fact. And you find joy not in waiting for your desire, but in living it now in consciousness. You begin to see that circumstances are merely reflections, not causes, and that your true work is always internal, always focused on maintaining your identity in the desired state, no matter what appears to be happening outside. This inner steadiness becomes your foundation, your strength, and from it springs a life that mirrors your deepest assumptions about who you are and what is possible for you. Each moment becomes an opportunity to recommit to your new identity, and when doubts arise, as they naturally will, you do not fight them or push them away, but acknowledge them, and then return to your chosen state, knowing that the repetition of this process is what builds the momentum of manifestation. You realize that the world responds not to your words or even your actions, but to your state, to the vibration you carry, and that this state is entirely within your control. You do not need to manipulate people or force outcomes, for the assumption does all the work, reorganizing reality in ways you could never have planned with the logical mind. And so you let go of the how and stay loyal to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You make decisions as the version of you who already has what they desire, and in doing so, you signal to the subconscious mind that this new identity is your truth. Your inner conversations shift from lack to fulfillment, and you begin to notice how your imagination becomes your truest reality. For what you hold within begins to override what you see without. And this is not delusion, but creation, for all things are created twice, first in imagination, then in form. You learn to value the unseen more than the seen, to cherish the feeling of already having, rather than the frustration of waiting to receive. And this shift in values aligns you with the flow of manifestation, which always begins within. You no longer react to appearances with fear or frustration, because you know that appearances are temporary echoes of past assumptions, and you have chosen a new reality from within. You rise above circumstance, not through effort or denial, but through the clarity of knowing that you are the operant power, and your world must reflect the state you dwell in consistently. You do not try to be positive all the time, for you understand that true embodiment goes deeper than surface emotions. It is a stable identity shift, not a fleeting feeling, and so you learn to rest in the assumption even when emotions waver, knowing that the subconscious responds to repeated impressions, not to momentary moods. You allow yourself to feel the depth of your new reality without needing to prove it to others. And in this quiet certainty, you find a power that transcends appearances, a creative force that shapes reality according to the state you assume to be real. You see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to affirm your new state. And each time you persist despite appearances, you strengthen your belief and bring your desire closer to tangible form. You embody your assumption not through rigid control, but through relaxed dominion, allowing your imagination to paint the picture of your ideal reality, and then stepping into that picture with your inner being until it feels as natural as breathing. You use the world around you not as a gauge of success, but as a canvas upon which your inner state is projected, and each experience becomes feedback, showing you where your assumptions lie. You do not blame the outer for what you experience, but take responsibility for your inner stance, knowing that the outer must conform in time. You become a deliberate chooser of states, and each state you inhabit becomes the seed of a new reality. Even when nothing seems to change, you persist because you understand that manifestation is a process of unfolding, and that your continued embodiment of the end state is the guarantee of its arrival. You move from wishing to knowing, from hoping to claiming, and in this claiming, you set in motion the unseen forces that bring your desire to life. You realize that faith is not blind belief, but a deep inner conviction in the reality of the unseen. And this conviction grows with every moment you choose to live from your desired end. You do not need to convince others because your world is a mirror of your own belief, not theirs. And so you focus only on your internal alignment, which is the only true work that matters. Your feelings become your guide, not because they create, but because they reveal your state. And when you feel yourself slipping into doubt or fear, you gently return to your assumed identity, not with force, but with love, knowing that consistency in the state is more important than perfection. You begin to enjoy the feeling of already having, and this enjoyment becomes a magnet for more of what you desire, for like attracts like, and the feeling of fulfillment draws more fulfillment. You stop chasing desires and start embodying them, and this shift turns you from a seeker into a creator, from a reactor into a chooser, and your life transforms accordingly. As you continue to dwell in the state of your fulfilled desire, the world around you becomes malleable, shifting and reshaping itself to reflect the inner reality you have chosen. And though others may marvel at your apparent luck, you know it is not luck at all, but the result of living in the end. You understand that your assumption does not create instantly, but inevitably. And so you release impatience, trusting the timing of manifestation because you trust the law. You become the version of yourself who already has it. And in becoming, you receive, not through force or struggle, but through alignment. And each time your new reality unfolds, you strengthen your understanding that embodiment is the key, and assumption is the doorway through which all desires become reality.
The world will show you troubles, challenges, and mountains too high to climb. Yet the true battle is never fought outside. It is fought and won within the mind. The obstacle only has the meaning you assign to it. Defeat begins with belief in defeat, and victory begins with the assumption of victory. If you would conquer anything, begin by entering the state of having already triumphed. Feel the end as though it is here now. The outer world is only a mirror, reflecting the inner conviction you carry. If you see yourself as defeated, the mirror will return defeat. But if you assume yourself as victorious, the mirror must return victory. When fear appears, do not grant it power. Fear is only an image, a shadow, waiting for your attention to feed it. Ignore it, starve it, and it will wither away. Instead, give all your focus to the feeling of already possessing strength, courage, and success. Live from the end, not toward it. Do not wait for conditions to change before you change your mindset. The moment you adopt the attitude of the victor, the world begins to rearrange itself to match. Every circumstance, every person, every event bends in obedience to the state you persist. Hold to your vision, even when the facts scream otherwise. The facts are only the past made visible. Your imagination is the seed of the future. Plant it well, water it with persistence, and it will bear fruit in its season. This is the mindset that defeats anything. To refuse the evidence of defeat and to assume the reality of victory. Stand in that state, feel it real, and the world must conform. For nothing is stronger than the one who knows that the inner world commands the outer. Imagination is the true battlefield, for everything you encounter in life is first conceived within the unseen world of your own mind. No event, no obstacle, no force outside of you holds any real power until you allow it to enter your inner world and give it meaning. The imagination is not some idle play of thought. It is the creative power itself, the workshop where every victory and every defeat is born. The mind fashions the world you walk through, and what you permit yourself to dwell upon becomes the ground upon which your life unfolds. When you face challenges, you are tempted to believe that the problem lies out there, in circumstances, in people, in conditions beyond your control. But look closer, and you will discover that nothing outside has ever harmed you until it first gained entry into your imagination. The words of others, the appearance of lack, the threat of failure, none of these are chains unless you imagine them to be. They are merely shadows, powerless on their own. It is the inner acceptance of defeat that gives them form and force in your reality. Consider the person who constantly imagines themselves as unlucky, unworthy, or incapable. No matter how many opportunities pass before them, they will sabotage their own success, for their imagination is already settled on failure. The outer world must obey the inner decree. Likewise, think of the one who sees themselves as strong, blessed, and unshakable. Even in the face of hardship, they rise above, for their inner vision refuses to admit defeat. Circumstances bend to meet the posture of their imagination. This is why the battlefield is not fought with weapons or arguments, but with assumptions and visions. If you imagine yourself to be greater than the obstacle shrinks before you. If you see yourself already on the other side of the struggle, triumphant and free, the outer world cannot but rearrange itself to make it so. The imagination always wins, whether you use it consciously or not. The question is, will you let it enslave you to fear and limitation, or will you discipline it to see only the outcome you desire? Every great achievement began in the quiet of imagination. The hero conquers the dragon in thought before he faces it in reality. The victorious soul feels the taste of triumph before the world gives evidence of it. This is not fantasy, it is law. The outer follows the inner as faithfully as a shadow follows form. Once you understand this, you no longer wrestle with conditions, you attend only to the state of your own inner world. Nothing outside has power unless you yield to it within. Do not grant power to appearances, to the judgments of others, or to temporary conditions. Withdraw your belief from them and they fade. Place your faith in the unseen reality you construct with imagination, and that unseen will harden into fact. Imagination is the true battlefield, and he who wins there cannot be defeated anywhere else. The feeling of victory precedes the victory itself, for life reflects not what you desire, but the state from which you operate. To embody the state of already overcoming is to clothe yourself in the consciousness of success before the evidence appears. This is the great secret. You do not wait for the outer world to prove your triumph. You carry the feeling of triumph within, and the world, like a faithful servant, brings it to pass. When you seek change, it is natural to look outward, to hope for circumstances to shift, for opportunities to arise, for people to act differently. Yet the truth is far deeper. The change must begin with you. The world is a mirror, and it reflects the state you occupy. If you dwell in doubt, uncertainty, or longing, then the reflection you meet will echo the same. But if you assume the inner attitude of one who has already succeeded, the world will soon conform, presenting the outer symbols of that inward assumption. Victory is not an accident of chance. It is the result of consciousness. The soldier of life who already feels himself victorious marches with a different rhythm, speaks with a different tone, and carries a different presence than one who trembles with fear. Even before the battle is fought, the one who inwardly accepts victory has already planted the seed of it. His every action, though subtle, flows from that hidden conviction, and life cannot resist the pull of that state. To embody victory is not to pretend or to deceive yourself. It is to align with the deeper truth that your imagination holds the pattern of your reality. When you enter the state of already having, already being, already conquering, you impress upon the unseen forces of life the blueprint they must express. This feeling is not wishful thinking, it is creative certainty. You need not know the steps by which the victory will unfold. You need only to live in the assurance that it is already yours. Think of the athlete who visualizes the race won before the starting gun is ever fired. He feels the exhilaration of crossing the finish line, the roar of the crowd, the weight of the medal around his neck. By dwelling in that state, he conditions his mind and body to move in harmony with the vision. The feeling of victory calls forth the very aspect of life, whether in relationships, in health, in finances, or in personal growth. If you wait for evidence before you feel victorious, you will wait forever. The outer cannot move first, it must follow. The law is unwavering. Assume the feeling of victory now, and the evidence will come. Carry yourself as though you have already overcome, and the world will echo that conviction. The moment you embody the state of triumph, your battle is won. For the feeling itself is the victory. The rest is only the unfolding of what you have already claimed within. Your assumptions shape your outcomes, for the world you see outside is nothing more than the reflection of what you have accepted as true within. Life does not respond to your wishes or fleeting desires. It responds to the deep convictions you carry, the quiet assumptions you hold when no one else is watching. Every circumstance, every meeting, every so-called coincidence bends itself to the shape of your inner belief. If you persist in assuming yourself defeated, life will provide endless proof of your defeat. But if you persist in the assumption that you are already greater than any obstacle, the very mountains before you must shift to make way for your triumph. An assumption is not simply a thought. It is the state of being you occupy. It is the lens through which you interpret the world. Two people may face the same challenge, yet their experiences differ completely because of the assumptions they bring to it. One assumes it is impossible, and so every attempt collapses under the weight of that belief. The other assumes success is inevitable, and so every setback becomes merely a step toward the goal. Their assumptions sculpt their outcomes. You must understand that obstacles are never as solid as they appear. They are shadows cast by old beliefs, echoes of assumptions you may have held in the past. But the moment you shift your inner state, the outer world begins to rearrange itself in obedience. Persist in the assumption of victory, and the obstacle loses its power. The path that seemed closed will suddenly open, resources will appear, and people will come into your life at just the right moment. None of this is accident. It is the natural outworking of the belief you have chosen to persist in. Persistence is the key. A fleeting assumption carries little force. Many people imagine success for a moment only to fall back into doubt and complaint. Their outcomes waver because their assumptions waver. To truly shape your destiny, you must persist in the belief that you are already greater than the challenge. You hold that conviction even when everything seems to say otherwise. The outer facts are always the past solidified. The assumption you persist in is the future taking shape. Think of yourself as an actor who refuses to step out of character. No matter what scene unfolds, you hold to the role of the one who has already overcome. If the world shows defeat, you persist in victory. If the world shows lack, you persist in abundance. If the world shows rejection, you persist in love. In time, the stage around you must catch up to the character you have chosen to embody. This is the secret power. Your assumptions are creative. They write the script, set the stage, and determine the ending. Persist in the assumption of your greatness, and nothing can stand against you. For when you know yourself as already victorious within, the world must bow to that conviction and deliver the outcome you have claimed. Refuse to give life to fear, for fear exists only when you breathe into it the power of your attention. Left alone, it is nothing but a passing shadow, an echo without substance. Yet the moment you fix your mind upon it, speak of it, or dwell upon it in imagination, you feed it with the energy of your belief. Fear cannot grow on its own. It survives only on what you give it. And the law is simple. What you ignore fades, but what you focus on expands. Many people live trapped, not by real dangers, but by the stories they keep repeating within. They replay worst-case scenarios in their minds, and these images take root, shaping the world around them. The outer life becomes the mirror of inner fear. But the truth is this: the moment you withdraw your attention from fear, it loses its grip. Turn your gaze away from the shadow, and it dissolves in the light of your higher awareness. Fear often disguises itself as caution, as reason, even as wisdom. It whispers, what if you fail? What if they reject you? What if you are not enough? And if you listen, if you entertain its voice, you give life to its illusions. But remember, fear is always of what has not happened. It is the imagination misused. It is faith pointed in the wrong direction. To refuse fear, you do not fight it, argue with it, or resist it with struggle. You simply turn away and give your attention to the vision of what you desire. The same imagination that can picture disaster can picture victory. The same mind that can create an image of lack can create an image of abundance. The choice is always yours. If you dwell on strength, strength expands. If you dwell on peace, peace expands. If you dwell on love, love expands. Life does not punish you with fear. It only mirrors the state you persist in. Think of fear as a seed. If you plant it and water it with attention, it will grow into a forest that surrounds and suffocates you. But if you refuse to plant it, if you neglect it, if you turn away and pour your energy into seeds of courage, faith, and confidence, then those will grow instead. Fear has no life of its own. It borrows yours. Withdraw, and it dies. Do not misunderstand. Fearful thoughts may still appear, for the mind is accustomed to certain patterns. But their appearance does not matter. What matters is whether you feed them. You are always free to shift your attention, to say within yourself, I choose courage, I choose faith, I choose victory. In doing so, you deny fear its sustenance and affirm the state you truly desire. What you focus on expands, so let your focus be on the end you wish to see. Refuse to feed the shadows, and they vanish. Give your energy to the light of what you love, and it must grow. This is how you defeat fear, not by struggle, but by starving it of attention until only your vision remains alive. Live as though it is already done, for the secret of creation lies in assuming the reality of your desire before the world gives evidence of it. Too often people wait, hesitating, demanding proof before they dare to believe. They say, "When I see it, then I will know." But the law of life works in reverse. Only when you know it within, only when you act and feel from the end, does the world begin to arrange itself to show you the proof you seek. The unseen always precedes the seen. To live as though it is already done is not to pretend or play a shallow game of make-believe. It is to anchor yourself in the conviction that what you seek is already established in the invisible. The outer world is simply delayed in catching up. Every manifestation is first born as an assumption, nurtured by the feeling of its reality, and then expressed as fact. If you wait for the evidence before embodying the state, you are postponing your victory indefinitely. But when you claim it now, in imagination, the wheels of creation begin to turn immediately. Think of the difference between someone who wants success and someone who knows success. The one who wants is always looking outward, checking circumstances, waiting for signs. Their actions are weak, hesitant, unsure, for they are rooted in doubt. But the one who knows walks differently, speaks differently, carries themselves with certainty. Even before the evidence appears, their state is already aligned with the end. This certainty draws people, opportunities, and events into harmony with their vision. The world bends to match the posture of their inner conviction. This principle can be seen in the smallest things of daily life. Imagine receiving a letter you have long desired. The moment you feel it in your hands, in imagination, the relief, the joy, the excitement, all of this is real within you before the letter ever arrives. When it does arrive, it feels familiar, for you have already lived it. This is the key. Feel the end now, and when it appears, it comes as no surprise. The outer is simply the shadow of the inner experience you have already claimed. To live as though it is already done requires trust. Trust that life responds faithfully to the state you occupy. Trust that your inner conviction is greater than outer appearances. Do not be swayed by temporary conditions, for they are nothing more than echoes of past states. Hold to your vision with persistence. Refuse to wait for tomorrow to feel what you long for. Feel it now. Live it now. Speak from it. Act from it. Breathe from it. The world cannot resist the man or woman who lives as though the desire is already fulfilled. Circumstances shift, doors open, people are moved, all because you dared to claim the end before the evidence appeared. Do not wait for proof. Proof will come, but only after the inner assumption is firmly established. Live as though it is already done, and the outer world will have no choice but to reflect your inner certainty. Persistence transforms reality, for the world is not shaped by passing thoughts or fleeting wishes, but by the steady, unshaken conviction you hold within yourself. Circumstances are pliable. They bend, stretch, and reshape themselves in obedience to the state you consistently occupy. Many people give up too soon, abandoning their vision at the first sign of resistance, not realizing that what they call delay is only life reorganizing itself to match their assumption. The one who persists, who refuses to surrender inwardly, eventually sees reality conform to the image held in faith. Persistence is not struggle. It is not the frantic forcing of events, nor is it the restless worrying over how things will come about. True persistence is quiet inner loyalty to the vision you have chosen. It is the refusal to move from the state of already being who you desire to be. Each time doubt arises, persistence gently reaffirms, it is already done. Each time circumstances contradict, persistence holds steady, knowing that appearances are temporary. The outer world must follow the inner pattern, but only if you persist long enough for it to take shape. Think of a sculptor at work. The block of stone may at first resist his chisel, and the form within is invisible to the untrained eye. Yet with persistence, stroke after stroke, the image emerges. So it is with life. The raw material of circumstances may look unyielding, but the persistence of your assumption continues to carve it into form. Quit halfway, and the masterpiece remains hidden. Continue faithfully, and what was once only imagined becomes visible to all. Persistence requires patience, for reality often takes time to reflect the fullness of your inner state. The seed does not sprout the moment it is planted. It germinates in silence, unseen beneath the soil. Yet the persistent gardener does not despair. He knows the harvest is sure if he continues to water, continues to believe. In the same way, when you persist in your conviction, even when nothing seems to move, you are preparing the ground for the inevitable appearance of your desire. Circumstances may attempt to intimidate you. People may doubt you. Evidence may seem against you. But persistence does not look to the outer for reassurance. It draws its strength from the inner certainty that the outcome is already secure. Each time you return to the vision, each time you feel the reality of the end, you are stamping the pattern deeper into the unseen, and life, being faithful, must express it. The difference between those who achieve their desires and those who do not is often not talent, luck, or opportunity. It is persistence. The persistent soul does not waver, does not surrender to appearances, does not abandon the vision. They know that the world has no choice but to yield when confronted by unwavering conviction. Persistence transforms reality because reality itself is fluid, waiting to be shaped by the steady hand of belief. Hold firm, remain loyal to your inner vision, and the circumstances that once opposed you will bend in obedience. For nothing can withstand the quiet, determined persistence of a mind that refuses to let go of its dream. So, what is the secret to defeating anything? It is not found in the strength of your hands or the approval of the world, but in the posture of your mind. Imagination is your battlefield, and victory begins when you claim it within. The feeling of triumph must come before the outer triumph appears. Your assumptions will always shape your outcomes, so persist in the belief that you are already greater than the obstacle before you. Refuse to feed fear, for what you ignore fades, and what you focus on expands. Live from the end as though it is already done, and hold fast with persistence until reality bows to your conviction. If you master this mindset, nothing can stand against you, for when you align yourself inwardly with victory, the outer world has no choice but to follow. Thank you for sharing this time with me. May you carry these truths into your life, walk in the confidence of already overcoming, and watch as every circumstance bends to the power of your inner conviction.